Hey, Facebook family, welcome to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks live at 5 p.m. on Thursday, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. And so I know I was kind of bad today because I didn't send out my, invite, right? But you guys already know I'm here every Thursday, right? Um, so if I don't, for some reason, send out my morning invite, if I don't send out an invite or come on live on Facebook and tell you to check back with me at 5 p.m., you already know, check back with me around 5 p.m. every Thursday. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And let me just do a little house cleaning as you guys come on. Hey, Tanda, good evening. Happy to have you. Hello, Stacy and Robert. You guys are early birds. I appreciate you for being the first ones through the door. I'm going to ask you, as I always do, to share this. Oh, there's an intruder. This is my G-Pup, Easy, who's, he always wants to make a cameo, seemingly. So I guess this is just going to be a thing that we're going to do, and you guys just have to get used to seeing Mr. Easy on camera. He seems to want to do this week to week. So let me just, Easy, come on, don't. Okay, that's how you say hello. Is that how you say hello? Huh? You growl? Is that what you do? He does this little thing, you guys. This is my husky Easy. Actually, it's not mine, it's my son's. But he does this thing, when it sounds a little alarming, like maybe he might be fussing, right? When he'll watch. You see him showing his teeth? He shows his teeth and then he growls. But that's his way of saying he loves me. It's very unsettling. At least it was in the beginning. I've gotten used to it because that's just what he does. So anyway, pay him no mind. I almost said pay me no mind, but I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. Okay, so happy holidays. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Ron. Oh, you have a husky too, Robert, named Spirit. What color is your husky? I'm just curious. Mine is pretty much black and tan. Yeah, pretty much black and tan. And I really like him. He's a very well-behaved little husky. So I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, Robert, is that unique to their breed? Because I'm not familiar with huskies like that. I'm a German Shepherd kind of girl. That's what I had growing up. And as my kids were younger, I had a German Shepherd. And but this husky is really very well behaved, very mannerable. He's a good protector. Hey, Thais, thanks for joining me, sis. I appreciate you. I try to stick my head in, Thais, from time to time to catch you and, show some respect, if you will, right? So I appreciate you because I know you probably got something going on in a little bit yourself. And I know tonight is debate night and I heard a little tink tink. So listen, I think I'm going to give him a new name. I think I'm just going to call him the asterisk. When you see me talk about him, I'll put tink tink, but I'll have an asterisk in front of him because I like the fact that there is forevermore an asterisk after his name. And I had some people come in my inbox and say that he's going to be doing a speech tonight and don't watch it because they don't want them to be able to say that people are tuning in because they support his mumbo jumbo. I ain't telling nobody what to watch or what not to watch. Y'all grown, do what you want. But yeah, he's the asterisk going forward. So welcome. Let me get started. And let me tell everybody who may not know who I am. I'm a retired LAPD sergeant. My name is Cheryl Dorsey, and I spent 20 years on the Los Angeles Police Department under the command staff of Police Chiefs Daryl Gates, Willie Williams, and Bernard Parks. And so I come to you week to week, and I just share a little bit of my own insight and unique perspective about things that are happening locally, nationally, with regards to police and community. I talk about uses of force incidents, and I give you my perspective on how I think officers could have conducted themselves differently, and how I think the community could have conducted themselves differently, because at the end of the day, family, I want you guys to survive that police encounter. So you'll hear me talk sometimes about police culture, police policy, police training, and I give you all of my insight because I want you to recognize those red flags whenever you get stopped by a fool, and we know based on what we see that there's a whole bunch of them out there. So you know when they're telegraphing to you that they're about to put hands on you. You've heard me talk about, one little subtlety that somebody was surprised to hear me share is when officers put on leather gloves. Typically, that means they're about to put hands on you. So if you are being dealt with and you see folks reaching into that back rear pocket and getting gloves, that might be a good time just to be quiet. Be quiet, let them do what it is that they're going to do, and get you a good attorney, and then get you a mansion and a yacht. That's what I want you to do. I want you to survive the police encounters. So that's what I do week to week. I do this here on Facebook Live, and then I always upload my videos from Facebook onto YouTube so I can share and have a conversation, if you will, with a different group of people, my subbies. What's up, YouTube subbies? I appreciate you as well. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to go live on YouTube. You guys, I'm not very tech savvy. I'm not very media savvy. And since I haven't sat down and had a talk with Oprah or Ayanla or Mr. Perry, I don't have helpers to explain all of that and sit with me to make sure that I don't mess up when I try to go live on YouTube. So one of these days I'm going to do that. And I am in the very near future, I believe starting in January, we'll be going live from time to time on Instagram. So my Instagram family and I will have an opportunity to engage and interact. So that's what I do. That's why I do it. I want you to survive. And I want to thank those of you who have been supporting and being very kind to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks via my Cash app. I have two ways in which you can support the show. Sergeant Dorsey Speaks is my Cash app. Sergeant Dorsey Speaks is my show. Sergeant Dorsey Speaks is my YouTube channel. Sergeant Dorsey Speaks is my podcast. And so you can go to my Cash app and support the show there, or you can visit my website, www.sergeantdorseyspeaks.com or sergeant.sgt.SherylDorsey.com, and purchase my book, my autobiography, which talks about my 20-year career on the Los Angeles Police Department, as well as the advocacy work that I've been doing since 2014 with regards to errant police officers, excessive use of force. And I just really try to give families the words if they have an opportunity to talk to a police chief, or if they have a press conference and they always ask, what do you want to say? What do you want done? I hope that my sharing with you my experiences and my lived knowledge as a police officer, as a Black woman, and as a mother will help you know what it is you want if and when you ever find yourself a member of that club that nobody wants to be a member of. And that's the one who has lost a loved one because of excessive use of force, because a police officer has used deadly force as a first resort rather than a last resort, as we're taught and trained. So having said all that, let's get to it. And I want to start off with a story that is kind of in sync with the whole use of force thing here locally in Los Angeles. I read something earlier in the week, and this is supposed to be a 30-day period here. The Los Angeles Police Commission is holding public hearings, or at least you have an opportunity to have some input for 30 days with regards to AB 392. Now, you guys remember AB 392 was legislation that Governor Newsom signed, which speaks to when officers here in the state of California can use deadly force. Officers can only use deadly force when it's necessary, not when it's reasonable. And really, to be honest, those are the same thing to me. But because I think an officer, you know, if you're a good officer, you can articulate necessary and you can articulate reasonable. But nonetheless, and I don't even know why the police commission is even asking for input about what do you want them to do, them being LAPD, with regards to use of force policy, because they're tweaking it. I didn't think this was something that they could do or not do. I'm assuming AB 392 passed, the governor signed it, and it's law. But nonetheless, if you want to have some input into what it is you want LAPD to do with regards to the policy, I'm going to share with you an email address for the LAPD, you can correspond directly to police commission members regarding AB 392. So look for that in the thread. And if you have something that you want to say, you need to reach out to the police commission, because listen, no point in complaining, you know, when that next police officer shoots and kills somebody here in Los Angeles, and you know, sadly enough, it's not a matter of if, but when that happens. So the email address is LAPD use of force policy at LAPD online. Again, the email address for anyone that wants to have input, wants to express your concern to the LAPD Police Commission, you have 30 days, and the 30 days started, I think, December 17th. Email LAPD use of force policy at lapd.online. Okay, the link is in this thread. So yeah, let them know what you think. Now, let me just back up a little bit, because I started off talking about the asterisk. And I just wanted to say this because, you know, there was a lot being said last night on the heels of the impeachment vote and all of that. And so for those of you who don't know, because there are some people who didn't understand, they thought once he was impeached, that meant he was out of office. And there were some people who really thought, I guess he was going to be packing up last night, right? Putting all his shit in a knapsack or a pillowcase and, you know, heading out, but not so much. The impeachment, which occurred in the House of Representatives, is akin to an arraignment where a person is charged with a crime, and then they go to an arraignment and they present, district attorney presents evidence to show the judge whether or not there's sufficient cause to believe this person actually committed that crime, and then they go to trial. Trial being the Senate. So the House of Representatives, you know, that's why they did that whole, everybody was saying what they wanted to say yesterday, 3 hours on the House Democrat side, 3 hours on the Republican side. And at the end of it, Nancy Pelosi, AKA the Beast, took a vote, and they had the majority in the House to confirm the articles of impeachment. So now it's going to go to the Senate. And what's going to happen is, because, you know, Turtle Boy has been talking a lot about, listen, I don't want to see no evidence. I'm not talking to no witnesses. Matter of fact, I'm not even calling witnesses, because my mind is made up, and I'm in lockstep with the president and his attorney, which is crazy if you think about it, because again, that would be akin to the jury foreman telling the judge, yeah, I just had a conversation with the defense attorney and the suspect over there who, you know, they said was, you know, doing strange things to farm animals. Yeah, I've already had a conversation with them, and so we're good. We're one and the same. And but let's go ahead and have that trial. Why don't we? That's what McConnell is doing. And so Pelosi, being very savvy, said, you know what? Then I think I'm going to just hold up on these articles right now, because I want to know what it is you guys intend to do during the trial, so I know how to best present the case. They're going to have managers, and the managers, the way it's described, are akin to prosecutors. And so if, for instance, McConnell gives in and does bring the witnesses that they want, like Mulvaney or Pompeo or the guy from the OMB office, Bolton, if any of those people are called to speak as fact witnesses about what they know, then Pelosi is like, okay, so I need to know which manager to bring on board, because some people are better at questioning than others. And that seems fair. You want to have your best people sitting at the table. But McConnell, being Moscow Mitch, said, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do. You just show up for the trial and you just figure it out. And so Nancy's like, yeah, that's what we're not going to do. And while she's waiting for him to see who's going to blink first, it's quite possible that everyone who had refused to testify previously and had taken their case to court because the asterisk said, I don't want you to talk, Mick Mulvaney. I don't want you to talk, John Bolton. I'm forbidding you to talk, Pompeo. They have taken this to court to ask a judge, hey, we've given a subpoena and we have a right to this information, judge. Will you compel them to testify? The judge may come back with a response and may very well compel those people to testify. And so if that happens, then, you know, it's going to be all bad for the asterisk. And we'll see who blinks first. But anyway, so that's what's going on. And really and truthfully, I've said this before. You guys have seen me speak on this on Facebook. I personally do not want to see the asterisk removed. And the reason that I don't is because the Christian, his VP, is much more dangerous, much more frightening, if you will, in terms of the kind of stuff he could do in a few months if he's made, if he's put in office because the asterisk is removed. So I don't want to see the Christian in to be promoted. And you know, he's been real quiet. He's just been sitting back, just looking and waiting and hoping. And he probably somewhere praying right now with Mother. That's what he calls his wife, Mother. So they probably been holding all night Bible sessions, hoping that the asterisk gets removed and then he goes up. Now, the only way that I personally would want the asterisk to get removed is if we get a twofer, because we know now that the Christian is implicated and he's involved. And we know that one of the ladies who testified during the hearings under oath, she's the assistant or an aide to the Christian. And she said that, you know, she saw some stuff one day on a desk and she wanted to put her hands on that paperwork, had something to do with the conversation that the Christian had when he went to Ukraine with Zelensky. This lady says that she knows a little bit about that, knows a thing or two about a thing or two. And right now, the Christian has not declassified that information. That too could change. And so the Christian could get lumped into it. Now, if he were to get lumped into it, that would just be wonderful, right? We get a twofer and they impeach both of them. The reason I know that won't happen is because if the Christian is impeached, number 3 in line is the savage, Nancy Pelosi. And the GOP is not going to let her ascend to the presidency. So if you really want to impeach the asterisk, you need to do that November 3rd, 2020. In other words, you need to vote. Hey, Chef D, what's up? Happy to see you here, sir. And I have been missing you on the wood. Are you even skating anymore? Let me know. I've been looking for you. I don't get in the rink that often, but when I do, I'm always looking for you in that spot where you usually are, and I've been missing you. So let me know, Chef D, if you are even partaking. For those of you who don't know, I'm a roller skater, not roller derby, roll bounce, ATL, yeah, skater. So I have some of my skate family on here too. So I appreciate you, Chef D. Now, okay, so that's that with the asterisk. He won't be removed, even if they have a trial. I do not believe whatever happens at the end of the day, he's not going to be removed. I don't want him to be removed. I want you guys, all of you who are listening, to vote. I want you to register to vote. If you're not, I want you to take 4 or 5 or 15, 2,700 people with you and get them registered to vote. And then everybody needs to go to the polls, because listen, if you guys are not paying attention, they are working mightily to remove names off of the polls in certain, I think in Wisconsin, it was some astronomical number, 300,000, 264,000 people were being taken off the roll because they didn't respond to a letter or a postcard or something. So they are playing dirty pool, folks. Do not take any of this stuff for granted. I'm anybody but. I do not know who our nominee is going to be, but I am a anybody but girl, and I hope that you guys will vote and not get caught up in this third party foolishness that happened in 2016, right? Because I don't even know who a third party candidate would be. I've heard some folks talk about Tulsi Gabbard, and you guys know what she did during the impeachment vote. She didn't vote one way or the other. She didn't vote for or against. She just said, I'm here present. So I think that happens a Russian bot. that's what Hillary said a few weeks, couple of months ago. She kind of inferred that Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian bot. And it's been reported, I've seen it on several times on MSNBC, where they have said that the Russian media and Putitang's television stations are saying things for their people to hear and read that are very favorable for the Russian bot, Tulsi. And that's kind of, what they did last time. They were very favorable in things that they said for the asterisk, very negative in their reporting on their television and in their newspapers for Hillary Clinton. And then, a whole bunch of folks did the third party thing, Jill Stein, and we know how that ended. So listen, if you guys, if the asterisk gets another 4 years, I promise you, we're not going to even know this country. I'm going to be long gone. I got more years behind me than I do in front of me. And while I have concerns because of my children and my grandchildren, I hope you guys have those same concerns. And then of course, Dwayne, thanks for that. Supreme Court. We got to pay attention to the Supreme Court openings that may come up in the next 5 years. I pray that RBG is strong as an ox, and she can hold on. But it may not be her; it might be somebody else. And if the asterisk were to get a second term and get one, or God forbid, 2 more appointments to the Supreme Court, lifetime, he could do a lot of damage. He's already done a lot of damage. I think he's up somewhere near around the 200 mark in terms of federal judges he's appointed. I think that was his goal, to get to like 180, 190 by the end of this year, more than anybody's ever done in this amount of time in terms of appointments to these positions as federal judge. Lifetime appointments. Folks who are in their early 40s who are going to be in these positions for lifetime. Folks who, and listen, don't take my word for it. Google all this stuff. Do your due diligence, know what you're talking about, and know, so you can be well informed. Just because I said, I might get something wrong. So do Google and look at all of the federal judges that have been put on the bench since this jackass has been in the White House. These are people who the American Bar Association, you know how the restaurants give you like a B, a C, a A, right? If you get a B, they probably got roaches and rodent droppings with a B at a restaurant, right? The American Bar Association won't even rate these people. They're lawyers. Most of them have not held any trials. Some of them have never even given a deposition, never even interviewed a person. And now they are on a lifetime position on a federal court. Lifetime. So that's going to affect your grandchildren, family, and you need to pay attention. Okay, Dwayne. Okay. Oh, you had hip surgery. Okay, I'm glad that you're doing better. Please take good care. Hey, Christy, happy to have you join me, sister girl. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, lifetime appointments on these federal positions. So it's very important. Vote, vote, vote. No third party, please. And thank you. Over in West Palm Beach, there's an officer who was recently arrested for a DUI. And this is kind of a big deal because this officer had been previously disciplined for alleged harassment. This officer's name is Travis Limauro, Limauro, and he is a West Palm Beach police officer, Florida. Every week I come to you, there's a Florida officer or Florida sheriff doing something stupid. If you got that name, Travis, Limauro, on any of your paperwork, you need to go get an attorney. Not now, but right now, okay? He had been disciplined for alleged harassment. He's 37 years old, and he's on the Jupiter Police Department. So maybe that might have some significance for those of you that are in Florida. Travis Limauro, Jupiter police officer, 37 years old. And he was charged with a DUI, suspicion of DUI anyway. And now this time, because, he lived to offend again. They didn't get rid of him after the harassment. They just disciplined him. and now they're recommending, after an internal affairs investigation, that he be fired. So don't know if he's going to be fired, but listen, you would think sexually harassing two female cadets, not police officers, two young ladies who were trying to get on the job, would have been enough for him to, be shown the door. But anyway, Police Chief Frank Adderley has ordered his termination. And, even if he gets terminated, he can appeal it, and, he could get his job back. But they're looking to have him find a new church home this time around. So Jupiter Police Department, if you've had any dealings with Travis Lamaro, go get you an attorney and then get you a mansion and a yacht, or at the very least, get your case thrown out. Did you guys see all that that was going on a few days ago with this young lady over in the Bronx? Her name is Cheryl Sanchez, a 16-year-old Black girl who allegedly had been kidnapped, and everybody was sharing the pictures. I know I did. I shared the links, that she had possibly been kidnapped. Everybody was hoping that she would be found and returned safely. Well, guess what? Yeah, she was, she did a Jussie Smollett, right? She staged the whole incident, and, there was an Amber Alert, and I guess her mom was with her when this thing happened. Some guys jumped out of a van, they grabbed her. The mom even fought with the guys, the way it's written. I hope that's true, because if mom was in on that, and I haven't read anything that says that she was, but if she was in on that any kind of way, she's going to be facing some significant penalties as well. And she still may be, mom still may be, because listen, that's something that kids don't understand. When they do stupid stuff, that it ultimately can affect the parents. When kids do something like this young girl did, and I'm curious to see, I'll let you know if I see anything about it, but I'm curious to know whether or not all of the resources that were expended looking for her, for the time that they took emergency personnel, officers, and whomever else from doing other stuff for helping other people, I wonder if mom might wind up with a bill for services. That could happen. This young girl, she's 16 years old. She's dealing with some dude who's 23, a reported Crip gang member there in the Bronx, previously arrested for murder, not charged, but they just said arrested for murder. And I guess mom probably doesn't really like her daughter, understandably so, hanging out with this guy. And so this girl decided to create this whole scenario. That's a 16-year-old brain for you. I don't even know how she thought that made sense, but create a scenario where some guys would jump out, drag her away, handcuff, throw her in the car. And I mean, did she think she was going to be able to stay with this guy ad infinitum if she had really been kidnapped? She was never planning on coming home. I mean, was she going to finish school? What the heck? Or was it just for, an overnighter? I don't know what this girl was thinking about, because that was a 16-year-old brain along with a 23-year-old brain. And that was really stupid. But if you hadn't heard, Carla Sanchez in the Bronx is back home with her mom and probably in a whole lot of trouble. Now, R. Kelly is back in the news. He is right now facing some additional charges. He was just recently arraigned in New York, this time on bribery charges. And these bribery charges are related to the marriage of 15-year-old Aaliyah back in the day. Remember back in 1994 when it was rumored that him and Aaliyah had gotten married, and then a few weeks, a month or so later, it was annulled, is what we heard. And then there was some, people wondering, did they get married, or was that really true? Well, we know that it was. And now his tour manager, a guy by the name of Demetrius Smith, said that R. Kelly absolutely knew Aaliyah was a minor when he married her. And this guy, Demetrius, was complicit in that whole situation. Demetrius says that he unwittingly and now regretfully, he's his tour manager, he knows exactly who R. Kelly was, but what do you expect him to say? But, I didn't want to, participate, and I got caught up, right? He says unknowingly, he was unwitting and regretful about being involved in this, but he says he did actually, Demetrius, help R. Kelly get this document that he needed in order to marry Aaliyah. And they provided some kind of fraudulent identification in pursuit of this marriage certificate. And so because of that, R. Kelly is now, he done pissed off somebody, because I mean, they are throwing everything at him. So now he's being charged with bribery. And, I don't know how that's going to work. He pled not guilty. Again, what did the parents know, Aaliyah's parents back then? What did they know? And were they complicit? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot. But this guy, Demetrius Smith, like I said, he's admitted to helping R. Kelly get the ID, the fake ID. He said R. Kelly absolutely knew Aaliyah was 15 when he married her. And this guy, Demetrius Smith, has said that he is willing to testify to all of that. So I don't know if he's willing to testify to all of that, because he's looking for, the homie hookup, right? Please don't hurt me. I'll tell you whatever it is you want to know, need to know. So, yeah, Christy, I think her Aaliyah's mom was somehow complicit and involved. I don't know that, but I don't know how you, much like these other parents, how you turn your 15-year-old daughter over to a 27-year-old man. Well, I would say who does that, but I mean, we know a lot of people do that. So, anyway, R. Kelly pled not guilty to the bribery. Oh boy, his tour manager says he knew, I knew, which doesn't make sense, right? Because if the manager says R. Kelly absolutely knew she was 15, I helped him get the fake ID, then he absolutely knew. He didn't get involved unwittingly. He was involved full well knowing, but I'm sure he's willing to testify to save his own ass. Anyway, that's that. Now, there's an off-duty LAPD officer who probably will be looking for a new job, because this heifer was brandishing not her duty weapon, not a gun, not a real gun, but a replica. She got involved in some kind of road rage incident. It's been reported very recently, and her name is Georgetta Buriana, 38 years old. She was arrested on a felony charge. So that'll be a real easy fix, because she brandished this replica at somebody because of some kind of road rage incident. And the person obviously probably continued to follow her, got her license plate number. The police responded and they found the weapon. It's a replica, but they're trying to make an example out of her, because they charged her, and I'll read it to you. It's section 417.3 of the California Penal Code. And what this section says is, every person who, except in self-defense, in the presence of any other person who is an occupant of a motor vehicle proceeding on a public street or highway, draws or exhibits any firearm. And so I don't know if that's the key. Any firearm, any replica, is that a replica, any firearm? But if you draw or exhibit, now you don't have to point it at a person, because when you point it at them, then it becomes an ADW, assault with a deadly weapon. They went with the brandishing. Draws or exhibits any firearm, whether loaded or unloaded. So you don't even have to have the ability to hurt somebody. You just need to brandish any firearm, loaded or unloaded, in a threatening manner against another person in such a way as to cause a reasonable person apprehension or fear of bodily harm. That's a felony. So this heifer didn't think that out. Clearly, she didn't think that out. And so I would imagine that now, Michael Moore on the LAPD will just allow her to go through the criminal process. And if she's found guilty of a felony, that's an easy fix. You can't be a LAPD officer and a convicted felon. Now, you might be able to do that somewhere else, but not on the LAPD. So, yeah. I don't know how long she had on the job. She's 38 years old. It didn't say that in the article. I'd be curious to know. And of course, I don't know her because I've been gone for a minute. So that name is not familiar to me. And while I've seen some of my comrades, if you will, talking about how stupid she was on social media, I didn't see anybody mention how much time she had on the job. But this sounds like, somebody who's relatively young on the job. That's what happens when you get officers. And usually you hear about it with the male officers, not so much with the females. But, Billy Badass could be a girl. And, you get a gun, and now all of a sudden you think you somebody, and you think that, you're going to buffalo and bully people into doing what it is you want them to do because they see a gun, not understanding, heifer, you ain't the only one with a gun. And guess what? Mine is not a replica. She's very lucky. She's very lucky that she didn't pull that replica on somebody who had a real deal gun. But anyway, she'll have plenty of time to think that one over while she's looking for work. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is in Burlington, Vermont. Burlington, Vermont. See, stupid knows no rank, right? Two police chiefs resigned within 12 hours of one another. The first police chief had to resign because he had a social media account, and it was an anonymous account. He had created some name, and he was he was messing with some guy there in Burlington, Vermont, who's been very critical of the police department. And so the police chief, his name is Brandon Del Pozo, he would go on Twitter with this alias, this fake account that he had created, and he would harass, if you will, this community member, because the community member was very critical of this police chief's department. And I don't know how it came to the attention of the mayor, but somehow the mayor found out. And so the mayor forced him into resignation. So he resigned, and then the mayor replaced him with an acting chief. This person is a deputy chief, and it's a female. Her name is Jan Wright. So the mayor appoints Deputy Chief Jan Wright as the acting because Del Pozo is stupid. And then Jan Wright said, "Oh, Mayor, my bad. I got a social media account too that is not in my name. I have a pseudonym that I use, but I just use the account not to harass people, just to talk about department policy and procedures and things that are going on here." And the mayor was like, "Look, y'all stupid for real. So you got to go too." Now, he didn't fire her. She can't be the chief. And so chief number 3, he's going down the list now. And so now he appointed a third police chief like within 12 hours. And then this third person, he goes, "Okay, so look, do you have a social media account? Are you playing on social media too?" And the third guy says, "No, not me, sir." And so it's just kind of funny, but not really funny, haha, because it just goes to show you that, police personnel, no matter the rank, are all subject to do stupid stuff. You would think, as you get older, as you've been on the job for a little bit of time, and particularly when you have rank, given all that we see, all that we know, all that goes on with police officers, the things that get police officers in trouble, and then you would still have a police chief with a fake Twitter account harassing a community member because he's critical of your department. That just goes to show you why I say police officers should have psychological reevaluations regularly, because some of these problems could maybe be detected. And while this is administrative stupidness, you might actually save a life if you identify an officer who's problematic for one reason or another, who may have anger management issues, or who may have, a problem with alcoholism or whatever that causes them to be uber aggressive, to use poor judgment, or just demonstrate that they don't have the right temperament to be a police officer. I don't know why police departments are not in line with that thinking. I mean, if I'm just a little old sergeant, and if I can figure it out, how come a big city police chief, commissioner can't figure out? Open up your officer's head, look around in there, and if shit's not running right and you can't get it back on track, then get them off the department. They're a liability. But anyway, that's what I think. Now, I want to share this with you because I'm seeing a lot of chatter on social media about this. And this is kind of a local story. But for those of you who may not know the name or have forgotten it, Christopher Darden, he was the prosecutor. He was one of the prosecutors against O.J. Simpson, back in the day. And Black man, he's an attorney. And recently there was a lot of controversy because Chris Darden was going to represent the suspect who had been arrested in the fatal shooting of Nipsey Hussle. And then something happened. I think I don't know this to be true, but this is what I read, that I think Chris was getting death threats to his family because of his willingness to represent this guy who had shot and killed Nipsey Hussle, and so he got off the case. Well, there's a gentleman, and I use that term lightly, here locally. He's a Democratic donor, and his name is Ed Buck. He's a wealthy white guy, and he lives over in, I think, West Hollywood area. I don't know if Ed Buck is gay, but he seems to be involved with a lot of Black gay men. And he has been charged, arrested in the death of two Black men at his apartment. Now, Buck is 65 years old. He's pled not guilty to distributing methamphetamine, which resulted in the deaths of a gentleman by the name of Timothy Dean in January of this year. And then in 2017, there was a young man, Jamel Moore. Both of these people were injected with drugs at Ed Buck's house and wound up dead. And, you know, there was a lot being said here locally. Activists were trying to get this Ed Buck arrested and charged. And it just finally happened after the second man, Timothy Dean, wound up dying in Ed Buck's apartment. And I think now that they're in the process of actually even trying to evict him from the apartment building. There were protests and things going on around this apartment building in West Hollywood. Now, the brouhaha is, Chris Darden, what's up, dude? Why are you representing Ed Buck? I don't know if he's going to get death threats, but I know that the LGBTQ community is not happy. And they're, I don't know how they're actually going to respond to this, but I know that I've seen some folks who are going to be very vocal on their social media platforms about Christopher Darden and his willingness to represent, what a lot of Black folks find suspects, defendants who, maybe he shouldn't be representing. His call, clearly, so all money ain't good money. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's going on here locally, and it's probably not going to die down anytime soon. No pun intended there. But I will, if I hear anything more about, whether or not Christopher Darden stays on as Ed Buck's attorney, I'll let you know. So that's that. So family, that's it. That's all I have for you this week. And we'll do this again on next week. I think Christmas is Wednesday, so I will see you on Thursday. And if you're not done with your Christmas shopping, I'm a size 8 and I wear a 10. I'm just saying. You guys have a great rest of the week. And let me just say this, because again, some of you have seen on my Facebook page a very dear friend and colleague passed away, surprisingly to us, Earl Pasinger. He was an assistant chief on the Los Angeles Police Department, and I kind of did a little tribute to him on my podcast. And so I just want to here also honor his memory and speak his name. He was a very dear friend. He was a mentor. I met Earl when I first joined the LAPD in 1980. He was one of the people responsible for whipping us into shape. He was my PT instructor, and he was in phenomenal shape and would run us. He would run us through the hills of Elysian Park, and I thought, this guy can't even be real. He can't be human. What the what? And of course, our relationship changed once I got out of the police academy, because when we were in the police academy, his job was to break us down and then build us back up, right? And he was very supportive, very encouraging, and very helpful. And I like to think that Earl Pasinger is one person who I will give credit for, in terms of me being the person that I am, being the officer that I grew up to be on the LAPD. Earl Pasinger is one. James Tatro, another supporter, supervisor, mentor, friend on the LAPD. And so, with the holiday season around and just, life in general, every time this happens to someone who I'm close to, I realize how final death is and how fleeting health can be. And so, I want to say thank you to those of you who are here and listening, to my friends, to my family. I appreciate you. I love you. Flowers to the living. And you guys do the same because, when I was little and growing up, I used to always hear my mom say, she was going to do a thing or not do a thing because tomorrow's not promised, or when she was living her life like it was golden, right? It's because tomorrow's not promised. And so when I have these conversations with my own children, what I say is this afternoon is not promised, tonight is not promised. And so I try very hard to make sure that the people that I care about know that I care about them. And I try to say it a couple of times a day if I talk to my own loved ones, because this evening is not promised. And so take nothing for granted. Live life like you mean it. And reach out to folks that you know who may be having a difficult time right now during the holidays, who may not, who may be going through something, who may have lost a loved one, or who may not have family to surround themselves with. Reach out and, make sure everybody is in a good place. So I don't want to get all teary-eyed and melancholy. So I'm just going to say, as I end today, that Earl C. Paysinger, I'm going to miss you. Until next week, be good. Be safe.